Chris Scalzi here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss scary stories to tell in the dark. It is the cinematic adaptation of those terrifying books you read as a child. Will the film hold up? I'll also be sharing my thoughts about Lulu Wang's The Farewell, starring Awkwafina, the latest film from A24, getting all the love. And then Matt and I will both share our thoughts on Memories of a Murder, currently available on Amazon Prime, directed by Bong Joon-Ho, who's done some films we are fairly big fans of around here. And then finally, it's the return of What Are the Odds? It's everybody's favorite odds-making game, and I swear to God, I tried to keep as many superheroes out of it as I possibly could.
Not me.
Not you. Well, why should you? So let's start everything off with a clip from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Some people believe if we repeat stories often enough, they become real. They make us who we are. That can be scary.
Eat it, Harold.
Do you want to see a haunted house?
Some kids went missing, so they boarded it up.
Okay, we saw it. Should we go now?
Who ordered the chicken?
What's that?
It's a book of scary stories. Tell me a story.
So Stella, August, and Tommy are a group of friends, Matt, and they meet up with a kid named Ramon who is on the run, maybe? And the four of them get together, they go into this haunted house, well, this old rundown house, and they find this book of scary stories. And what happens, Matt, though, is they awaken something, and then new stories start to be written about them and some of their peers. And they're desperate to try and stop things before everything goes too far and it's too late. Now, Matt, I had not read the books, as I stated. I just don't know if they weren't as prominent. I was old enough when they came around in 81, right? So
Yeah.
Now, granted, I think I was reading War and Peace at that point. So,
Of course.
and I just finished the Metamorphosis. So maybe I was just too far ahead of this at this point.
Right.
You were a fan of the books, though. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, it is an accurate statement because I was a creepy little kid and grew up into a creepy adult.
That's refreshing. So, Matt, how does Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark hold up comparable to the books? Is it a faithful adaptation, and did it deliver the thrills and the chills you were looking for?
So it's not really a faithful adaptation, but I don't really see how it could be. So Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is essentially old folk tales, campfire stories, ones you've heard of, like The Hook and stuff like that, with some really truly disturbing painted ink art in there. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're really just kind of these short little stories that younger readers will find creepy. And it's kind of like an introduction to kind of that scary stuff that's pretty safe. This, I think, is basically the same thing insofar as that's what it sets out to accomplish. I think this is meant for younger viewers, kind of like my first horror movie kind of thing. And I think in a lot of ways, it's pretty effective. A lot of the visuals that came through that were terrifying or horrifying from the books, they came out in real life or on the screen, just as creepy as they were in the books. And overall, I mean, I think it's not the best horror movie I've ever seen. It's got some parts to it, but it's, for what it is, it's actually a pretty dark film that goes to some pretty dark places that I was surprised about.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I have to say, knowing what I do of the illustrations, from what I understand, it's the illustrations really were what was so terrifying about those books. That the stories were well written, but they really captured the imagery and really some terrifying stuff in those illustrations. And the ones I've seen, and I think I've seen all the ones that showed up in this, except for the, is it the Jangly Man is what he's referenced as here in Wikipedia. That's the Mitai Dodi Walker thing. So that one I wasn't familiar with, but the Toe Monster and then the Pale Lady and the Scarecrow I had seen previously.
Right.
And they are all suitably creepy as hell. Now, I watched this thing and I came out of it feeling like, oh, that was well done, but unremarkable.
Mm-hmm.
but entertaining enough. And then I kind of realized later on that this was not a movie for me.
Right.
If I watched this through the lens of a child of a children's horror film, then I think this thing is really effective. Now, it simply just wasn't made for me, but I think it does still have some great atmosphere to it. The creatures are really creepy in it and disturbing. Even as an adult, I would say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think kid me would really, really have loved this thing. Adult jaded me is like, all right, that was fine.
Right.
You know, it was pretty good and creepy. But I'm wondering if I watched this if I was like 12 years old or something, that this thing would have freaked me the hell out. Now, granted, I saw The Evil Dead, I think, around 13, 14, so I don't know. Mm-hmm. But still, I think looking at it through a proper lens, I think it's much more effective than maybe jaded Chris thought it was. It's
not bloody in any way. It's really just kind of got this sense of dread. And, you know, the visuals are, like I said, really well done. And, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, these are young actors who are supposed to be playing kids in high school, and they look the part, and they make the choice to, you know, have bad stuff happens to them, and that stuff sticks. Like, that's not something you see very often in horror films. So I applaud them for doing that. I thought, again, you know, I'm with you. If I had been 8, 9, 10 years old when I saw this would be something that I would still be talking about to this day as, like, you know, something that really affected me and when I would have a lot of affection for. So I think it's really effective for what it sets out to do. I mean, if you're kind of like the jaded horror fan like we are, who is used to seeing a lot of gore or a lot of, you know, always effective monster makeup or anything that's maybe got something deeper to say, like your It Follows or Hereditary or something like that, you're not going to get that here. But I think it is pretty effective. And if you want to go with maybe a younger budding horror fan in your life, this is a perfect movie to take them to. Yeah. It's a gateway film, right? Yeah. That's how I look at it. So yeah. It's a transitionary film for young people maybe who like horror and like to see and get into a little more of it as they get older. And also one thing too I thought was interesting, I'm curious for your thoughts on this, is it weighs heavily in on some political themes too. It's a fairly anti-war film. The film takes place on and around Halloween 68? Yep. And then also it weighs heavily into corporate malfeasance and like the pollution and corporations doing bad things, right? Right. And how did you feel about that? Did that feel shoehorned in for you? Are we trying to make a statement, or did it work for you? What are your thoughts? I mean, I think it was good for them to kind of set the time period, I guess. I don't really know what he was trying to say. I think if this film had been made in the Bush era, maybe that would have been more appropriate, would have been more obvious because of the, you know, Vietnam parallels versus, you know, what was going on in Iraq and Afghanistan at the time. But here, other than having a crook in the White House and, you know, having people... It's not like even people really support Nixon or anything like that, but it's all centered around Vietnam and everything that goes with that. So that seems kind of, I didn't see how that fit into this. Mm-hmm. But the corporate greed and malfeasance and stuff like that, you know, that fit and that hit home. And I don't think it was evergreen. A bad thing. Huh? That's evergreen. Yeah. That's really never going to go away. Never. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think? You're the more political of the two of us. Yeah, no, as an adult, I appreciated it. I don't know if I'm so politically in tune that a lot of that stuff now kind of just makes me angry. So I don't know if it's worth it for me to have the social conscience in a film that's also trying to scare 12-year-old Chris. I guess it's fine. Maybe if it has kids asking questions, you know, I think that's fine. Right. And I think we can all agree that pollution's bad. Well, 60% of us. I think 70% can agree that it's bad. But, yeah. That's fine. I didn't feel shoehorned. It didn't feel forced to me. I thought it was fine. So that's not the greater message of what the film's trying to do. The film's just trying to scare the pants off of your 12-year-old kid. That's all. Right. And I think it does a reasonably good job at that, Matt. So what are you going to give Scary Stories as a grade? I'm going to give it a B. I thought it was pretty effective for what it was. Cut it a little bit of slack, and I had a good time watching it. So, yeah, I think it's a fine little creepy horror film. Yeah, I went with a B as well. Initially, I was going to go with a B-. But then I had that kind of epiphany as to who the audience for this thing is, and I'm like, you know what? In that realm, then I think it's very, very effective. Mm-hmm. So if you had a chance to see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Coming up, Matt,
you did not get to catch up with this film as of yet. I did, and I'd like to share some thoughts on it because I think it may be gone from the theaters rather soon. So let's hear a clip from The Farewell.
What's wrong, Dad? Please tell me.
Your Nan is dying.
She doesn't know, so you can't say anything. The family thinks it's better not to tell her.
Why is that better?
Chinese people have saying, when people get cancer, they die.
We have to go to China.
Wedding is an excuse so everyone can see her.
He's my only cousin. Don't you think I should be there?
You can't hide your emotions. If you go, Nan will find out right away.
Really 啊？咋啦？咋不说话呢？
So Awkwafina stars as Billy Matt. She finds out that her Nene has cancer and does not have long to live. So the family decides it's best for the grandmother not to be informed of the diagnosis. And it's the tradition there. And in that way, she can just live the rest of her life in blissful ignorance, is the thought. Awkwafina's Billy disagrees with this concept and thinks, well, do you think she'd want to have the opportunity to say goodbye? There's a rather elaborate event plan to get the whole family together to spend those final time. That's some final time with the grandmother. And I don't want to spoil too much about it. All I will tell you is that writer-director Lulu Wang delivers, I think, one of the best films of the year. It is touching, it is heartfelt, it is hilarious at times, and it will break your heart. And it also really, I think, I appreciate seeing others' cultures and how they handle things and discuss and maneuver through difficult life events. And this clearly is one of them. And it's seeing the two, it's a cliched phrase, but the culture clashes with how Awkwafina's character, Billy, who's brought up basically her almost entire life in the United States, has a very different perspective on things, clashing heads with her family, trying to figure out what the best thing to do for their grandmother is. The moments that they spend together are very sweet and authentic, and I think that's the key to the film. Is Awkwafina's performance is very earnest, Matt. It feels very real to me. And this was just a pleaser, man. I got to tell you, it's funny, and and it's a little tear-inducing. It really tugs at the heartstrings there. And it's also beautifully shot. I mean, there are some really fascinating shots. There's not a lot of close-ups on this. Wang chooses to kind of keep almost a family in frame all of the time, and also illustrating some of the natural beauty of the land when they go visit her. So in where is she? In Changchun in China. So it's a wonderful little film, Matt, and I can't recommend it enough. So I'm giving The Farewell an A. Do you have any questions for me?
No, not really. I mean, it's something that I've been meaning to catch. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So now I'm just going to have to get around to watching it, even though it'll probably be on DVD or streaming or something towards the end of the year at this point. Yeah,
I would think so. But catch up with it as soon as you can. If you've had a chance to see The Farewell, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Speaking of loss, Matt, let's spend a few minutes talking about what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD. And we'll talk about why that is a loss next.
What do men want?
Boobs.
No.
Back door. Front door. Pegging. Oh my God. Threesome. What is it? What's the answer?
They want to be heroes. There is nothing more compelling to a man than a vulnerable woman. Observe.
Oh, wow. You can just tear up like that.
You can just balance a tear right on that lower lid. And can you make the tear roll down your cheek?
Oh. Okay, but can you make it go back up?
So that is Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson in the update of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, The Hustle. That's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday, August 20th. Here's the fun thing, folks. All my notes somehow disappeared for this segment. I found out basically minutes before we were supposed to start. So we're going to wing this part. The good thing is it's going to go a lot faster. So enjoy that. Some other stuff coming up that's important-ish. The Superman Gone Bad movie, Matt, Brightburn, is getting its release. I guess it's worth a rental. Inevitably, I found it underwhelming. Would you say at least rent it, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're curious about it and you haven't checked it out, check it out. See what's going on with it. It has some nuggets of good ideas in there, and it has some cool scenes and some creepy scenes, but it could have been a lot more. I think we were both pretty disappointed by it.
Yeah. What else is coming up here? A Dog's Journey, the revolution, I should say the renaissance of dog movies continues. And this time they're not playing sports. A Dog's Journey, the sequel to A Dog's Purpose, is coming out. There's a film here, Matt, called I Trapped the Devil, which I want to see because I don't know if you know this. My favorite Twilight Zone episode is The Howling Man. Are you familiar with the plot of The Howling Man?
No, I'm not.
So a guy, I believe he's in a car accident, and there's a raging storm, and he comes upon a monastery just looking for shelter. And the monks kind of like, nah, we can't help you. Like, come on, you're a monk, bro. What up? So they let the guy come in, and he stays there, and there's a man howling in the basement that they've locked up. And the howling man is convinced, listen, they've gone mad. You have to let me out. And the monks tell him, listen, brother, that's the devil. We finally captured him. And inevitably, they let him out. Our lead, lets him out and then realizes what he did wrong. I would love to have seen a big screen adaptation or even a TV show then of this guy dedicating his life to tracking down the devil. Well, this film is about a guy who traps the devil. So I think somebody took the Howling Man and just ran with it into a film, and I would absolutely love to see that. Hopefully I'll be able to check it out. What else is coming up here? New to Blu-ray, Matt. Arrow is releasing the Al Pacino film Cruising, which is a legendary and uncomfortable film at the time it was released, directed and written by William Friedkin. Pacino plays a gentleman who's on the hunt for a sadistic serial killer that brings him to New York City's underground bars. It has a very heavy sexual, especially sexual content in it that was just revolutionary for its time. Also coming up is, from Warner Archive, is The Witches. This is the Angelica Houston film. I believe there's a remake currently in the works. The Criterion edition release of Magnificent Obsession is coming out as well, directed by Douglas Sirk. What else we got coming up, Matt, as we bop around here on Blu-ray.com, giving them a shout-out for helping me out at this last minute. Have you watched American Gods? You're a Neil Gaiman fan. The season 2 is coming out on Blu-ray.
I watched the first season. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it, but for season 2, there was some controversy. The showrunner, he left. He was the same guy who did the Hannibal TV show, which I really liked. Gillian Anderson, who played one of the gods, she left. So I caught like a couple episodes of the new season, and they weren't great. I meant to catch up with them, but I never finished it.
Fair enough. Well, if you want to go all out and buy a hard copy, now you can. A couple great classic kind of cheesy horror films being released. Horror of Frankenstein, The 4D Man, Billy the Kid versus Dracula. You can pick all of those up on Blu-ray. The Marrying Man, starring Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin, which was supposed to be a big hit in 1991, turned out to be a massive flop. Well, now you can check out what all the uproar was over about that film and why it turned out to be not terribly good. And then, Matt, your streaming pick of the week is going to be Guardian of the Universe. And let me just tell you that the Guardian of the Universe font on the cover looks eerily reminiscent of the Guardians of the Galaxy font. Neil Stryker is an Elite Forces agent. I love that name. He's made famous, Matt, for capturing a villainous time traveler known as, the Mad Scientist. After a magnificent asylum escape, the Mad Scientist rains chaos down in the city in his quest for revenge against the man that put him away. Stryker must now race through time, battle goblins, robots, Nazis, and sadistic killers in order to save the world. Man, that sounds like my kind of cheese. What should we be streaming this week?
So I finally bit the bullet, and I started my trial subscription to Shudder. I'm looking for a couple things that aren't available anywhere else. And as I was scrolling through it, I found that there are 3 Fulci classics, Giallo classics, with Zombie, City of the Living Dead, and The Beyond, all available on Shudder. So I say you settle in for some ridiculously over-the-top violence and enjoy some Italian Giallo horror films.
I love me some Fulci. I actually had Zombie on Blu-ray, and they did a whole new 4 scan of the damn thing and re-released it.
Yeah.
And I had to get it. I just broke down. And I got to tell you, the thing looks like it was made yesterday. It looks gorgeous.
All right.
So I love I love all that cheesy, Fulci stuff. It is so much fun, and gore abounds in those things. So enjoy, weirdos. Speaking of weirdos, let's spend a few minutes talking about Memories of Murder.
야 임마 손으로 그러지 말고 뭐 각구목이라 좀 구해가지고 받고 그래라. 어? 감식관 너는 이거 완전 개판이야. 야 이거 어떻게 된 거냐 이거.
여자들 이거 다 죽는 거지. 네가 진짜 죄가 없어? 시작. 끝까지 마무리가 안 되냐?
서태윤 경장님. 자, 이번 사건 때문에 일부러 자원을 내서 오십니다.
아들 비 오는 밤에 살해됐다고요.
예시 풀어줘. 범인 아냐?
다 잡아 제발. 누가 뭔데 이 새끼야.
All right, Matt, we love us some Bong Joon-Ho around here. Why don't you fill in the folks at home and on the road and doing God knows what. What is Memories of Murder all about?
I knew you were going to do this to me too, by the way. I didn't get a chance to say that you were going to be describing Memories of Murder, but, well, that's what I get for not being on the ball.
What? It's not, why? It's not difficult.
No, just because I'm going to butcher.
Hunting a serial killer.
Yeah, I just gotta butcher a bunch of Korean names, so I'll do my best. I'm sorry. It's fall of 1986 when a police detective in a small ruralish town in South Korea finds a woman raped and murdered in a drainage ditch, and then soon after he finds another woman dead in a field. And he comes to grips with the fact that it looks like they may have a serial rapist and murderer on the loose, and they are in no capabilities to try and deal with this. So he, his partner, and a detective from Seoul work on trying to solve the case.
Awesome. See, you didn't have to say any names, so there you go.
I didn't.
So, Matt, we're big fans here of the host. I haven't seen Mother yet, I confess. I love Snowpiercer and Okja, and I am dying to see Parasite, which I think is going to get a release in the next month or so. So what are your thoughts of Memories of a Murder? Was it a taut mystery thriller? Did you find it entertaining, or was something lost in translation with you? Oh, dear God, that's cliched and a horrible thing to say.
Get out. No more for you. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. It's a pretty good police thriller, detective thriller. They kind of get across the whole kind of everybody's kind of overwhelmed and out of their depth kind of thing. And then it just shows the kind of desperation that they go to. And I don't think really anything's lost in translation. And while I think it's really good and it has some really good shots in it and good performances, it's really not anything that you haven't seen before. So really it's not like it's revolutionary or genre redefining or anything like that. It's just a good, well-made police thriller. I mean, that's really what it is. And it doesn't, I mean, if you're expecting something that aspires to higher heights like some of his other films, I don't think you're going to get that here.
I think that's a fair examination of the film. One thing I found watching this thing is, I'm like, man, this is weird, because I feel like the film works a lot better than maybe it even should. Because he is, I think, juggling a lot of different things here, Joon-Ho. So it's a satire of cop movies, or at least the dirty cop, you know, who's going to do whatever it takes to get that confession. It's an earnest mystery thriller. There's some truly touching emotional moments, and as you said, some gorgeous shots in this thing, and then real moments of kind of fear and terror. And there's some political commentary too, because there's like a revolution happening on in the background as well throughout the entire film. So how he's able to balance all of these disparate themes and provide us with what I felt to be a thoroughly compelling film was quite the achievement. I agree with you that it doesn't perhaps break any new ground here, but as you said, I think this is an exceptionally well-executed police procedural film with some really interesting characters. I like the fact that our lead detective maybe isn't the cleanest detective around, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to close a case. But even he eventually turns and realizes, you know, maybe I kind of got to get my ass together on this thing. And then the other straight play by the rule cop kind of breaks, right? So everybody kind of has their twists and turns in this thing. And the film is overall kind of... Boy, how do you say that without giving away anything? It doesn't end how you'd hope, I guess, is one way of putting it. Things are left a little ambiguous. And sometimes people get frustrated by that kind of thing. For me, I enjoy those moments if they work, and they do here. Not everything always wraps itself up nicely in a bow. So, overall, though, I really, really enjoyed Memories of a Murder, Matt. It's currently available on Amazon Prime. You can check it out there. I'm giving this a B. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm giving it a B as well. Like I said, it's a good film. It's a well-made film. It's a well-acted film, and it's thoroughly enjoyable and watchable. Like I said, I don't think it breaks any new ground, but it doesn't really need to. And if you're looking for something a little more avant-garde, you can pretty much look to any of these other films and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, avant-garde doesn't always pay off either.
True.
For all of its brilliant use of gray and fantastic performances, Fincher's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is eventually just kind of underwhelming.
Right.
And not as good as the original film series. So, man, Fede Alvarez, this Girl in the Spider's Web, I don't know what the hell happened there. That thing is a complete miss. So as I said, Memories of a Murder is currently available on Amazon Prime. You could also rent it in all your streaming platforms. If you had a chance to see a Memories of a Murder, why don't you go ahead and shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. And it's Memories of Murder, right? It's not the individual. It's Memories of Murder, not the A. Drop that in definite article, folks. I am, as the kids say, dumb.
You are the stupid.
Speaking of dumb, it's now one of my favorite segments. It's What Are the Odds?
What?
Tom, get over here. We got a live one. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. Please. Kill me. Just stay calm. We're gonna get you out of here. You're gonna be all right. Give me a hand. We gotta get her out of here.
What's going on?
Convulsion.
Vincent, get back! Get back!
Damn it.
Flamethrower! Kill it! Get back! Flamethrower! Move!
Whew, that's bad times, man. I wonder if we should put an explicit tag on the show just for that one scene, that audio from the 1986 classic Aliens from Mr. Avatar himself. I think he's his best work, really. James Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not. So what are the odds is when we just assign odds to something happening or not happening, whatever the case may be, to certain scenarios, and never go back to see if it actually did occur or not. Matt, that was a clip, as we said, from Aliens. There's a big hullabaloo right now. There is supposedly a Disney executive who's a little freaked out about Jojo Rabbit, concerned that the film may alienate the studio's core audience. Now, a satire making fun of Hitler upsetting a core audience member makes me wonder who you think your core audience is.
Right.
But my question for you is, with Disney now owning all of these properties and concerned about their marketability overall artistic merit, what are the odds we get a family-friendly, say, PG-13 reboot, or at least just anything, of an Alien movie?
Jeez. God. That's a good one. I think that the odds are maybe like 25%. I don't necessarily want to put it past them, but I can't see a bunch of little kids clamoring for a 40-year-old property that they probably haven't seen until they were much older anyway. And I think the target audience for that film would hopefully not stand for sullying something that's been sullied many, many times since.
Here's the thing. I'm inclined to go a lot higher because I wonder if how do I put this? If it's a reboot, right? Because you can get away with a lot in terms of action when it comes to ratings. All you're going to do really... In fact, I wonder if you cut out the profanity, if Aliens, if it came out today, would be PG-13. I think it would be.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not that much gore in it, to be quite honest with you. I mean, it scares,
I think, in profanity and then some of the violence, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go a little higher than that. I'm going to go 45% that you see a PG-13 kind of action or alien movie.
Okay.
Sadly.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. But you know what? It's not like they haven't already, driven over the grave of the thing anyway. So I mean, what else can they do to it at this point?
Right.
So we're going to switch to the small screen. I know it's something that we don't do very often, but I want to talk about this. So we know that Arrow is going off the air. This is its last season. The Arrowverse is in need of a new show. There's some speculation out there of what it could be, and the ones that are the front leaders are really not that interesting to me, but there are some that are, and I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on these, Chris, as someone who dabbles in the Arrowverse shows as well.
Okay.
So what are the odds we get a Constantine show on the CW?
I have been pushing for a Constantine show on HBO since I was like 16. Actually, what I really want is a John Robinson, Tony Harris adaptation of Starman for HBO. I think that would be perfect, and it's finite. We already know the story, right? So they could definitely do that. I know they're doing. Who's doing Why the Last Man? Is it TBS, AMC?
It's FX.
It's FX. That's right, FX. Yeah. Right. I can't. I'm literally looking forward to that one.
Yeah, me too.
So that it's Constantine.
Now, keep in mind, their other Supernatural is also going off the air, too. So I feel like this could fit, kill two birds with one stone.
You know what? It's Matt Ryan, right? That's the guy who plays him?
Yeah.
I liked that show. I thought it was fine. It took a little bit to get its legs underneath it. Most shows are like that. I bought the season because I think it was like $10. I'm like, I'd want to watch this again. So I bought it like a couple years ago. I think it's since been down to like 4, so I'm kicking myself now, but whatever. If they could get Matt Ryan back and redo it, I'd be all in on that, but it would have to be scary. I've never seen Supernatural. Have you watched that? Is that good?
I did watch that show for a little while. I got into it for like the first 4 or 5 seasons when the guy who started the show was still running it. And then of course he left after that and it just kind of really went downhill, but it was kind of a fun, stupid, teen Buffy Vane show kind of thing. So
I don't know if I want that.
Yeah.
But that's their target audience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the odds that there's going to be a Constantine show, I would say I'll go 40% on that. You got any other nominees?
Yeah, the other nominees they're talking about a Blue Beetle Booster Gold buddy show.
Nah, 10%. There's not enough name recognition, I don't think, for that.
And one that fills me with dread: The New Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Ooh,
now, that seems to be in the CW's wheelhouse.
Ooh, is that going to be with the current Superman and Lois Lane they have?
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe 35% on that. I'm not confident on that either. I think Constantine's is your heavy favorite.
Okay, of the 3 that I gave you, which is not even any of the favorites. Although, and I wanted to mention when we were talking the other day, the thing about Crisis that I want to mention was Ralph coming back to play Superman in the crossover.
Yeah, I think it's getting more clear. I don't know. Maybe I just got sucked into something, but he may be Kingdom Come Superman.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've heard rumors or something that's at least that's the suit.
Okay.
I don't know. That would be awesome if he came as Kingdom. No, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'm really excited to see him in the Superman suit again. I think he really got screwed over in that film. I thought he did a fine job of carrying the Christopher Reeve mantle. He even sounded like him. Anyway. Do you want to throw some odds on any of those? Do you have a preference of the 3?
I guess a preference of the 3, I would like to see Constantine, I guess. I give it like a 50% chance, 50-50. The other 2, I'd say probably I'd say Booster Gold is probably about 15%. I would say Lois and Clark is more likely just because of the kind of romancy aspect of it and how Riverdale is taken off and all this other stuff. So I would give it maybe like a 40% chance they do that.
Yeah, and it's not like Legends of Tomorrow were filled with a whole bunch of people that everybody had known ahead of time either, right? So that's fair. Matt, what are the odds that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood gets a Best Picture nomination?
Ooh, good one. Well, it's about Hollywood, which the Academy really loves. And it's a Tarantino film, and he usually gets nominated, though he doesn't really win. So I say it's probably like an 85% chance he gets a nom, especially with what's come out so far this year.
I think that last statement you just said is the key. I think so far this year has been horribly underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting at around 85% myself. I think it's got a good shot because of the whole Hollywood angle, like you said. But then again, there's been nothing. This and something like The Art of Self-Defense, which won't get sniffed by the Academy, is one of the better films. I think The Farewell is a great shot.
Right.
We'll see if people remember it by the end of the year. Maybe the only issue, but
well, we're just really getting into earnest. We're just getting into kind of award bait season now. So there's always, every year we kind of say this, and then every year there's a bunch of smaller films that come out towards the end just for Oscar time, and they take up like 6-7 spots in our top 10. So
that's true. What do you got?
The Hunt. A film about kind of like a most dangerous game riff where rich people hunt poor people. I think it's in Britain. Has been pulled because of all the goings on in the United States with all of the mass shootings that seem to happen every other day here. But I guess, my question is this: what are the odds that The Hunt is ever released theatrically? Is it dead for good, or is it just basically they're just kind of waiting for things to calm down?
I don't know. So Collateral Damage was delayed how long? Remember that issue? After, it was right around 9/11. It was supposed to come out, the Schwarzenegger film.
I don't remember.
It got delayed. How long did that get delayed for? That's the same reason why we haven't never seen True Lies on Blu-ray, right? Because they're September 11, 2000 attacks. The film was originally scheduled to be released on October 5th, but was postponed till February of the next year. I don't know. It won't be next year, I don't think. Not until after. I don't think it'd be until after the election.
Okay.
Now, the whole weird thing, too, is he's upset about, of the hunting of the, for lack of a better term, when I say he, I'm talking about the president, of his supporters, right? It's basically conservatives that are being hunted by the rich elites.
Right.
Which you think is right in his wheelhouse. That's how dumb this man is. He doesn't realize that this is a film where his people are depicted as the heroes who rise up. So but whatever. I can't begin to explain my disappointment in the cowardice of the studio to not release this film. I appreciate that you maybe tamp down the advertising and don't do a big push for it, I guess, because the recent, grouping of shootings. In fact, there's another one just today while we're recording this. Some crazy guy is shooting a bunch of cops in Philadelphia.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The country's sick, but I don't know if this is the cure. This isn't the answer. Just like Walmart taking down all its video game displays.
Right. But still selling the shotguns in the back.
Yeah, whatever. So, no, I just don't think it's the right decision. So the odds that how would I actually answer your question? The odds that it ever comes out, is it released theatrically, specifically? Yeah. I'm going to go 35%. I'm not confident. Maybe they'll drop it on demand.
Yeah.
But I think given the current political climate and just how reactionary and dumb people are, the studios probably think it's just not worth the headache. Though I don't know, maybe it's driven up enough. And there's one of those things now, right? It's the Streisand effect. Now maybe more people will want to see it.
Right.
They can't.
Right. Maybe.
35% though. I'll sit on that. What do you got? What do you think?
I'm probably going to go 20%. I'm less confident than you. I think they'll end up releasing it eventually, but you're right. It'll go straight to streaming, quietly be released on, on-demand services where you can rent it and stuff like that. And then that'll be it.
All right. Ooh, I got still have 4 more. I think I'm going to sit on one for the end of the year as we get closer to Star Wars, unless you end up bringing it up.
Okay.
This is very Star Wars specific. How about this? Will Joaquin Phoenix's Joker make a cameo in The Batman? What are the odds?
I give that a 15% chance of happening. I'm seeing a bunch of stuff I just feel like this feels very different than what they're doing, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm curious to see if this is almost treated as kind of like its own thing. And I don't think it's going to be in The Batman.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm like at 5% on that. I don't think it's going to be tied. I think it's a separate offshoot and is not tied into any of the DC stuff. So I'm with you. What do you got?
All right. And this is my last one. So James Gunn, he is writing Suicide Squad, is going to be directing it as well. His brother has read the script and he says it's really good. So what are the odds that the Suicide Squad by James Gunn is as good or better than the Guardians of the Galaxy?
That's going to come down to casting, I think. And I don't know if he's at that stage yet, is he? I don't think he is he?
Is he keeping Robbie? I mean, I would assume he's going to keep her because she was the lone bright spot out of this whole thing.
Yeah, I would think so. All right, so supposedly the people who are confirmed are Margot Robbie, Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and then your man, Jay Courtney, is returning.
What else is he going to do? He was like literally calling James Gunn, like, I will do it. I will do this.
Turns his Captain Boomerang. I gotta admit, he was one of the few enjoyable things about that film.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Of all the horrible things they say about the man, he was one of the better things about it. Yeah. What's the question again?
What are the odds that
it's better than Guardians?
Or let's just even say is as good as Guardians.
Well, I think as good, I'm going to go 65%. I think
Okay.
Gunn's going to nail this thing. I think though I know he went back to Marvel, part of me feels like he's got a little FU in him here for that. And if DC, or if you say Warner Brothers is scouting him to take over the DC Entertainment Universe, all those films, then, man, I could really hope that comes to pass. But no, I think I think there's a very good chance. It all depends on who the rest of the cast is. Kinnaman's fine. Robbie's great. Courtney's really good in that role.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious who he ends up. I know Will Smith is out. So
darn.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm less optimistic. I'm very cautiously optimistic though. I'm going to say 55% that it's as good. That's a tall order, and first one left a bad taste in people's mouths. So let's just see what he can do. I hope I'm pulling for it though. I hope it's a good thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's definitely going to be better than the first one. I don't know how it really.
Well, I mean that's like a layup. You and I could make a better version. We've never made a film before, so.
Yeah, good times. All right, Matt. I'm just going to ask you: what are the odds Leah Seydoux' Madeline Swan character dies in Bond 25?
Explain to me why that's significant.
She is the love interest and gets him to walk away from MI6.
Okay.
It's basically, I feel, a retelling of Tracy's plot line from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where James Bond gets married.
Okay.
And then Blofeld kills her.
Okay.
And then the next film, he goes on a rampage because she gets killed at the end of the film.
Okay.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And I'm confident that that's basically what's going to happen today again. And that she will be killed at the end of the film, or maybe halfway through, who knows. But she'll be killed, and then I don't know what happens. So that's where I get confused. This film supposedly, Bond's retired. There's a new 007, and then Jeffrey Wright's Felix Leiter pulls in Bond to help a mission gone bad.
Okay.
Pulls him out of retirement.
Okay.
So what happens? Does he ride off into the sunset? Does they do a reboot again?
Right.
Is that what happens? Or do they just go with what you had brought up once before, the code name theory? And that James Bond is a name that's passed down, which I would hate personally.
Yeah.
I think maybe another reboot is maybe the way to go, which is, I feel like, as ridiculous as the words come out of my mouth. But
aren't they all basically soft reboots anyway?
I guess so. I don't know. Moore's weren't.
Well, no, but I mean, I think when they move to a different actor, it seems like everyone's like at least a soft.
Well, they bring their own spin to the character, but I think, and if it's a reboot again, then we can go a Minority Bond, which I'd be excited about. I think that would be really cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah. I don't know. What do you think? What are the odds? I guess this question isn't going to have the same impact to you as it would for me.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the odds that she is killed at some point in that film?
I'm going to say 45%, just because it seems like that's something that they would do. That seems like the lazy, easy thing to do to motivate the killing machine. But at the same time, that's kind of what they did in the second Bourne film. So it seems like, are they trying to shoot their own foot off kind of thing and get the unfavorable comparison?
But it's that wouldn't be fair. That's like a dark side Thanos thing all over again.
Well, no, I understand. I mean, that's fine to you, Chris. I mean, as the super fan, but the sad fact is that probably the large movie-going portion of the movie-going public is going to have remember Bourne versus what they're going to remember from a bunch of, a movie from the 60s.
Whatever. Don't make me mad. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And another thing, too, is we got to make these films a little more frequently than every GD 5 years. All right?
Right.
That's a big problem. They need to sign a younger actor and just churn them out in the old days when they had one every year or one every 2 years at the most.
Right.
That would be awesome. I'd like to see Bond actually go on a GD mission for once. He hasn't done that, I think, in like 15 years. It's always just been revenge for something else or going rogue from the agency.
That's what the people like.
I guess. Grim and gritty, folks. All right. I had one about the Fast and Furious. I'm just going to ask you, Matt. What are the odds we get 14 Fast and Furious films before a reboot? There are 10 announced right now.
10 announced?
So the 10th film is on the slate.
Oh, okay.
There's one coming out next year and one immediately after. I think they shot them back to back.
And we're not counting like the spin-offs like Hobbs and Shaw.
I am. I count them.
Oh, you are. So the Fast and Furious universe.
Yes. The Fast and Furious films, including the offshoots. What do you think we get up to 14? So I think we're going to get a sequel for Hobbs and Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
That's 11.
Okay.
That's 3 more films. I think that 14's too high. I'll drop it to 13.
Okay.
What do you think?
You know what? I think it's a depressingly good chance. I'm going to say there's a 70% chance we get to 13 films.
That's awesome.
That is crazy.
Vin Diesel's going to have to put up the little handicap placard in the car. All right.
My real family left me. Oh, God. Family.
Yeah, they're all on a bus trip to the casino.
Yeah, they're basically tearing through the deserts or through the fields trying to get to Branson, in their in their V8 Ford Taurus.
Looking for those AARP discounts over at the Pep Boys.
Yep.
Do you get a discount on nitrous if you're 60? Yeah, I'm thinking that I think 13 is definitely a possibility, and I envision then a reboot about 5 to 10 years later.
Okay.
The next generation with the kids.
But I think Vin Diesel at least will be there to hand it off. He'll be there to hand off the keys to his supercharged Charger or whatever.
That's right. Of course he will.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matt. I'm going to leave you with one. I don't want you to answer it. We'll save it for another time as we get closer. You folks at home, you can write us your answers if you want. What are the odds Rey is a Skywalker?
Oh. Dun, dun, dun.
So we'll figure that out as we get a little closer to the film coming out later this year. A little Star Wars action. Did you see they're doing individual releases on Blu-ray of all the films?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they announced them like a week ago. They're going to start coming out. So you can finally pick those up independently. I think it's been 6 years since they were released on Blu-ray or something.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the 4K releases. I would rebuy them on 4K, I think.
I would buy a few of them on 4K. The first 3 that didn't happen,
Right.
That people on the internet inexplicably love, which I mean, even with all the... I'm not saying the new trilogy doesn't have its flaws, and even the original trilogy has its flaws, but those films are all like head and shoulders above any of those prequel films. They're just so bad, and I don't get why people like them so much.
Those are people that were 13 when it came out, is what I think.
It must have been even less. They must have been like 6, 7, 8.
Maybe.
When those things came out.
Could very well be.
God, those are bad.
So that's a big show this week, folks. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. What odds would you assign to those scenarios? Do you have any suggestions for us for this segment? We'd love to hear them. You can check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Do a search for The First Run. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Eventually, you will find us. Go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. I will read it on the air, and it'll help other people find the show. Do us a solid. Help me help you. Matt, let's go ahead. Actually, no, let's not jump the gun here. Next week, what are we going to see? We're going to be Good Boys. So that, and there's the other 47 Meters Down movies coming out. I have not seen the first one. There's a Bruce Springsteen film, Blinded by the Light. Well, not a Springsteen film, but the young Pakistani immigrant family, and the boy becomes enamored with Bruce's songs as he identifies with the lyrics, which I get. And then there's an Angry Birds movie 2. I bet you didn't know that was coming.
Super excited. Although you on the schedule that you made, I think your long threatened French New Wave is set to start. So
that's it. I was just about to say that to you. One thing Matt's really excited about is our French New Wave marathon is coming. Now, I will read you briefly here the films on the list. Now, I can't guarantee they're going to go in this order because this is dependent on Matt actually being able to track down copies of these. Probably at your local library would be the best way to go, though you might be able to find them online. You just have to rent them. The films in question are The 400 Blows, Breathless, Jules and Jim, Shoot the Piano Player, and Alphaville. Those are the films we chose for our French New Wave marathon.
We in air quotes.
That's right.
I'm gonna make a little game out of it, and I'm gonna put a tally of how many times somebody is smoking in that film. Like how many people are smoking. I'm just gonna mark it down every single time and see who comes out the winner.
That sounds like fun. So let's go ahead then, Matt, and take an extended break, and we will see you all soon.
Excuse me. May I go to the bathroom first?
Of course you may.
Thank you.